Appassionati di chitarra elettrica conosceranno il nome di Frank Gambale, autore di metodi didattici, dischi, la collaborazione con Chick Corea con l'Electric Band e l'essere riconosciuto come maestro indiscusso della tecnica dello sweep picking. Siamo lieti dunque di poter inaugurare il nostro canale con l'intervista di uno dei più grandi chitarristi del nostro secolo. Lo abbiamo intervistato a Bologna in occasione di un suo concerto in quintetto. La prima domanda riguarderà il rapporto tra l'improvvisazione lineare e l'improvvisazione polifonica.
Well, I have to say that these days, I mean, it's almost a spiritual thing, you know, because I think improvisation is the highest art form in music. Because, you know, if you think of all the great composers, you're more of a classical website. Classical musicians, I mean, if you think of Mozart, he was an improviser. I always think of them as the jazz musicians of their day, because how else do you compose without improvisation? All the variations and the themes, and just to write it and to conceive it, you have to improvise, right? Where else does it come from? So, to me, improvisation is not only improvising solos, but it's also the road towards composition too. It's the same thread. And for me, these days when I improvise, I really try to get into a zone. You know, I never think in commercial terms anymore, or haven't for many, many years. I don't even care. This may sound awful, that there's a public watching. I go into a place that's very sacred, very special, to have no barriers, you know, to play at the highest possible level. You know, we're human, so depending on if we've had a hard day or if we're tired, all those things influence. But I try to really, really go. And I've had this conversation with Chick Corea. You know, when people used to come to this electric band to watch the band, they would see Chick for one night. And they go, wow, the band is amazing, one night. But I saw him night after night after night after night. And the level of, or the depth of his improvisations was seemingly bottomless. And that's because, as we discussed one time, improvisation really means to have no preconceived idea of what you're going to play. It's completely spontaneous, joyful, playful, but it's absolutely spontaneous. It's not premeditated. You know, it's hard for me as a guitar player not to fall into my licks. I really am trying to improvise in the true sense of the word. So that's, it's the highest art, you know, and that's my favorite part of being a jazz musician is the improvisation. And a group improvisation is even more powerful, if you ask me, when everybody's in sync and going in the same direction, improvising. It's truly magical. I call it a natural high. Do I always get there?
Yeah.
No. Anything can distract me. I mean, if my amp is making a funny sound, I'm gone. I'm lost. And then I have to try to get back to it. But it's very important for me to get to that place now when I play. Yeah, you'll hear it. I mean, I just go, it's this kind of thing where the lights are on but nobody's home. You can't really, you're in that space. You're present, you're here, but your brain and you're trying to connect with some sort of higher source. Yeah, that sounds a bit spiritual, but it is.
La seconda domanda invece è stata se lui avesse mai pensato alla produzione di un disco per sola chitarra elettrica.
I have actually.
All album.
But I haven't released one. I just don't see why I should do that. I know it's very important to classical musicians, but you know, guitar is limited in that sense to me. When I hear guitar played solo, it's interesting, but I don't want it to sound flamenco. I don't want it to sound like a guitar. I don't know. I think of myself as a musician first and a guitar player second. I don't think of myself as a guitar player. It's just my means to expression. And it's my strongest means, because I do play the piano too. I did record, when I was working with Maurizio Colonna together, we recorded a solo album, but it's never been released. I didn't like it enough to want to put it out. I prefer ensemble playing anyway, and for me, I've got a very much a linear approach. I mean, it would sound like a solo violin, which is okay for a song or two, but not a whole album, you know. Maybe one day.
Okay.